Massive news.
Huge.
This Monday, March 27th, coming out of Lamar Jackson's Twitter account. This morning, Lamar Jackson wrote, you see, a letter to his fans on Twitter. I want to first thank you all for the love and support you consistently show towards me. All of you are amazing, and I appreciate you all so much. I want you all to know not to believe everything you read about me. Let me personally answer your question.
Okay.
In regards to my future plans, as of March 2nd, I requested a trade from the Ravens organization for which the Ravens has not been interested in meeting my value. Any and everyone that has met me or been around me know I love the game of football, and my dream is to help a team win a Super Bowl.
Ooh.
You all are great, but I had to make a business decision that was best for my family and I. No matter how far I go or where my career takes me, I'll continue to be close to my fans of Baltimore Flock Nation and the entire state of Maryland. You'll see me again, okay? Yeah. And then his last one was, tries. Let's stay connected. Subscribe to my fan page.
Okay.
Fans, tries, 8.com.
Nice.
Now, we were going to get a video last week from Lamar Jackson Entertainment I-775. That was kind of teased. This week, we get a tweet. We didn't get a video explaining the whole situation, which we were and are still eagerly awaiting. But that tweet's a big deal. 25 days ago.
Huge deal.
We did not hear about this.
Nope.
We had no idea that this was the case. I wonder if any other NFL teams knew that this was potentially happening because, once again, let's remember, Lamar represents himself. So normally whenever somebody's disgruntled with a situation, their agent will start flipping over feathers, start turning over some leaves, start poking some bushes a little bit. At least let some media members know, like, hey, we've requested a trade. We would like to get out of here. We had no idea that was the case. No. March 7th, 4 p.m., he gets officially franchise tagged. That's 5 days later. After he said, I would like a trade, they said, let's work this out. He said, I would like a trade. Let's work this out. Here's an offer of $133 million guaranteed, even though Deshaun Watson got $230 million guaranteed. He said, I don't want this. I do want a trade. They said, well, franchise tag it. So then he gets franchise tagged. And then once we started understanding the rules of everything that the franchise tag, the non-exclusive franchise tag brings, we knew that it would be a 5-day period in which the Ravens could match any offer sheet that was handed to Lamar Jackson from another team. Now, with free agency literally on the horizon and a lot of money to be spent by a lot of programs that don't have a quarterback as of right now in that first 2-3 waves of free agency, we thought that 5-day period could potentially kick him square in the nuts whenever it comes to getting a deal done immediately upon getting franchise tagged. Now we're in a time here, after free agency, before the draft, we have 5 days that I'm very thankful that he's letting the world know that, hey, I've already asked to get out of there. I would like to get out of there because I believe this is a big old fucking bullhorn, blowhorn, whatever you want to call it, saying, get me out of here now. Let's go to John Harbaugh, who was literally chit-chatting with the media from NFL league meetings. The AFC coaches were being interviewed while Lamar Jackson sent that incredible letter to his fans out to the public. Here's what John Harbaugh had to say about the tweet that a newsbreaker literally told him about while he was in the middle of answering questions.
You were unaware of his trade request?
I'm not getting into all that. That's stuff. Those conversations happen. It's private.
Okay, so he said, I'm not getting into all of that. He did talk mightily before Lamar Jackson put out the tweet about how much he loves Lamar, how he assumes Lamar's going to be back, how all he thinks about is Lamar Jackson on the team. Then the tweet goes out that he has requested a trade request, and the guy goes, so you didn't even know that this was happening? And John,
not getting into that.
He did not expect, I don't think, that particular tweet to be done in which it has. And to be honest, in the world that we're in, I'm surprised for 25 days we have not known that a quarterback that has been the topic of conversation because the business side of it and how fucking good he is, this has not been made public at all. We are happy that he did this, and I think this builds up a little bit of interest potentially from other places, knowing that Baltimore knows that Lamar's not happy there. That changes a little bit of leverage. We've talked a lot about leverage.
Allegedly.
And there will be a right answer at some point.
Yep.
So I took it on the shins a lot. I'll be excited to see if I'll be able to take a victory lap. I'm assuming I will. There's a chance I will not be able to in another. But Baltimore knowing that Lamar's not happy there. And Peter King wrote this morning, It's about time that the Baltimore Ravens think about getting another quarterback or maybe spending time on another quarterback.
Yes.
Because Lamar requested a trade. We're just assuming that Lamar's just going to go back and play under the franchise tag? Or are we staring down a potential he's going to sit out opportunity? That's what other teams are going to say if they're trying to negotiate a trade for Lamar Jackson. Fascinating development here on Monday, March 27th, Boston Connor.
Yeah, especially the March 2nd deadline. The fact that they did that, and that means all February, there was just no, hey, this is my number, and they just wouldn't move off the 133 guaranteed allegedly, or they wouldn't meet him. But now because of this, all these teams have this kind of knowledge, like, okay, it takes what? First and a third was the scenario thrown out there by Michael Lombardi, where a team can then have the rights to talk to him. But then you think about like the Panthers. The Panthers have the richest owner. They can do that Deshaun Watson deal, put that money in escrow, and then they can give the Ravens the first overall pick.
Yeah, let's also think about this. The Colts, sitting there at 4.
Absolutely.
They need to do whatever they can to go get him.
Yeah.
With Steichen,
Exactly.
who just did what he did with Jalen Hurts in that offense. Not saying that Jalen Hurts and Lamar Jackson are the same people, but you talk about a skill set being absolutely taken advantage of. Lamar in that offense would be perfect. Tight ends are big. Drag routes are big.
Huge.
A lot of run, a lot of zone, holding, ISO. It's all you literally just drop right in with Jonathan Taylor behind you. You drop right into a situation in which you're competitive, at least in the AFC, in which you might not be sitting at 4 when allegedly there's only 3 quarterbacks.
And to be honest, Colts are pretty much one of the only teams when the franchise tag got placed that didn't come out immediately and say, we're not interested.
Well, that's because Jim had a fucking concert.
Oh, yeah.
Jim Irsay had a concert.
Right.
He was in the middle, him and the guy from ZZ Top.
That's right.
True.
They were doing that.
Yes.
He didn't have time to tweet it.
No, that was in the Colts' favor. They were one of the only ones that didn't say they weren't in them.
Yeah, you're right. You're 100% no, but I know what you're saying. But also, like, as the
Panthers said they were out.
devil's advocate to that, it's like, they were busy. They were setting up a concert. They had a lot of other stuff going on. Falcons said they were out. Panthers said they were out. They might be back in. But none of us knew. Do we think other teams knew? There's no way Baltimore was calling people, hey, Lamar requested a trade to get the fuck off of our team 5 days ago. They weren't telling anybody.
Heard it.
This goes back to the whole conversation about, like, need to have some people working for you.
Yeah.
He puts this tweet out. Everybody's talking about it right now.
Yes.
You don't think some owners or GMs are like, oh, this is a very real situation, might be able to do it. Just a threaded 3-tweeter is now generating even a little bit of leverage for you to potentially get out of the situation you're in. We're happy Lamar did it.
Well, also, like, all the teams who said they weren't interested, like, that's just all posturing and bullshit. Because now that we know that he has requested a trade and, like, he's available, if you look at like the wording on his tweet, like, he's operating under the assumption that, like, he's done in Baltimore. He's not playing there again. Like the Flock Nation or whatever the hell he calls them. Like, I'll see you again down the road. Like, there is no, like, hey, hopefully we can. What is it? Yeah, I'll continue to be close to my fans of Baltimore, Flock Nation, and the entire state of Maryland. You'll see me again. Like, there's no, like, hey, I want to come to a deal with the Ravens. I want us to be able to work something out. It's like they had their opportunity. They didn't. Fuck it. I'm gone. Now these teams who weren't interested and who are kind of in that precarious position of, like, you didn't know if Lamar is going to be available. He is. Like, you got to do whatever you can to go get him.
The weird thing is Lamar is available anyway, right? Like, he's obviously franchise tagged. He hasn't signed it yet. He can talk to anyone he wants. He is allowed to negotiate with teams and sign an offer sheet. So a request to be traded isn't actually necessary because he's already allowed to talk to everyone.
Rappaport, let's not just take the side of the team every time.
No.
Let's not just take the side of the team every time.
Boom, 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 boom.
Let's not just take the side of the team every time. We sound like a robot and we look like a mom.
No.
So
how is this the team standpoint?
Because you're saying, like, well, isn't this the same? He's franchise tagged, and he wants to trade. It's kind of the same exact situation. No, vastly different, because now every other team, through his tweet, knows there's a chance Lamar Jackson just sits out this year. So whenever they're talking to the Ravens, they go, hey, you're fucked. Your guy doesn't want to be there. We know he doesn't want to be there. That adds a little bit. Not that they're just going to be able to get Lamar Jackson for free, but I think this adds an extra element to Lamar Jackson for the first time, right? Because normally he just, no deal's done, shows up, super upbeat at the microphone, super good teammate. This is the first time we've heard anything from Lamar Jackson saying, like, I ain't doing it anymore.
Done with it.
Like, that is the first time we've heard that. So I think that changes the mood of the conversations a little bit when
Yes.
teams are reaching out. Don't you agree with that?
No, I would very much agree with that.
Oh,
I mean,
okay.
and you know, of all the, I know, thankfully, of all the things that we learned today, like, you know, it's interesting to me that he would say that he requested a trade. Like, my understanding, this is a little different. It was more like, well, if you don't want to pay me, then you should trade me. Like, that was how I understood this to be. However, you know, a lot of people have said a lot of things about Lamar not having an agent, how he's handled things. This was very savvy. This was very calculated. This was, to me, like the thing that, like you said, amps up the conversation at a time when his head coach is literally sitting down in front of 50 microphones. This was this really took a match to this thing and like inflamed it, which, you know, in his mind was necessary, and I thought was very, very savvy.
Well, Ozzie Newsome said last week with Bernie Kosar and Hilton Brand.
Yep. On the Bernie Kosar and
Hilton
Brand show.
Is that the name?
It sounds right.
I think it's just Bernie Kosar's show, if I remember.
But it was also
But
with the guy,
laughing.
Big Pop from the guy.
Yeah.
Ozzie Newsome said that Deshaun Watson deal certainly frustrated or upset the owner a little bit because of what happened.
That's
You know,
true.
so they've openly admitted, like, yes, that is a part of the conversation. We've learned that through all. Hanford Dixon. All right, I apologize.
That's what
Close,
you said.
I mean that is
What did you say?
Hilton
Brand.
Brand. I mean,
Oh, that's very close. That's very close.
Thank you, Ian, for giving me an opportunity on that. Now, I don't know if Hilton Brandford is thinking that I was close enough.
Hanford Dixon.
I'm so sorry,
There it is.
Hanford. You were a massive piece of that
He
conversation.
was.
Best part of it.
Yeah, I do apologize for that. But everything we've kind of speculated upon now, we're almost getting to hear publicly. And I think that is why it is such a big deal. To your savviness of it all, from Lamar Jackson while he's doing an interview, I do not envy Harbaugh at all, because it feels like coaches aren't in charge of this whole. Unless, I don't know what type of say Harbaugh has in that building.
No, you're right.
Harbaugh's not the one deciding who's getting paid what, who's doing what, because Harbaugh said, I'm 2,000% sure that Lamar Jackson's going to be back on the Ravens whenever he gave the postseason press conference. And then here, before he found out about the tweet, he said, I love Lamar. All I do is think about Lamar and what he's going to be like for our team. He's definitely going to be back. And then they asked him about the trade, and he's like, that's private. I'm not fucking. You could see him get to the point where he's like, damn it. Like, he's fighting his ass off. When do you think there's an end? Because obviously if there's a trade, that would involve draft capital. So we have a deadline just like we do in Green Bay, is what you're thinking?
Yeah, I mean, that's unless we get to, like, first of all, in order for something to happen, a team would have to be willing to give Lamar Jackson what he wants. The Baltimore Ravens have tried. They have given him, several different options. They've done fully guaranteed. They've done not fully guaranteed. They've done longer. They've done shorter. They have not been able to agree to a deal. So will another team be able to do that is like a legitimate question. But here's the problem. Let's say this all happens. So let's say you're Indianapolis Colts, who currently pick 4 and do not have a long-term answer quarterback. Let's say they give Lamar Jackson the fully guaranteed deal that he wants. The Ravens could go, cool, we'll take that, match it, and then game over.
Yeah, but they could not too, right? Lumbo said if they sign it, he becomes a player. You just make a trade as if you would normally make a trade. And that would kind of...
Unless you want to keep him. That's the problem, is like the Ravens ultimately, because of the way the franchise tag is set up, and this almost never happens, but it does benefit the team because ultimately they have the power. They can go, we'll just keep him.
And Lamar could just sit out.
Well, if he's under contract, he can't.
But he would have to sign
He would have
Then
to
he gets
sign the
fined,
tag.
he forfeits.
Yeah,
Correct.
he would have to sign the tag, though, for all of that to happen. I mean, that would have to be, that would all have to take place with him signing the tag, which he could just say no to, right?
Yeah, he could just not. I mean, that's the thing. Let's play that scenario, okay? So let's say Lamar says, you know what? I'm just not going to do anything. I'm just not going to sign. He doesn't have to play this year. It's not unprecedented. We saw Le'Veon Bell do it. But I can't think of another example in recent memory of a player not signing, giving up $32 million, and just not playing.